I am pleased and honored to present Congressman Robert Pittenger, who is also serving his first term in the United States Congress and represents the 9th Congressional District, which includes parts of Iredell, Mecklenburg, and of course, Western Union County. And his district is home to the second largest financial center in the country, located, of course, right here in Charlotte. In Congress, Robert Pittenger serves on the House Committee on Financial Services, sits on the Financial Institutions and Consumer Credit Subcommittee, and on the Monetary Policy and Trade Subcommittee. I'm glad somebody's got patience to do all that. House Speaker John Bonnier, I always mispronounce his name. John Boehner, thank you, who has appointed Congressman Pittenger to the Congressional Executive Commission on China, which monitors human rights and the development of the rule of law in China. He is chairman of the Congressional Task Force on Terrorism and Unconventional Warfare, and he is also a member of the Task Force on Terrorism and Proliferation Financing. Those are tough words to put together in a sentence. Congressman Pittenger served in the North Carolina Senate for nearly 3 terms, from 2003 to 2008. He also ran for lieutenant governor, and he was elected to the United States House of Representatives in 2012. He and his wife, Suzanne, live in Charlotte and have 4 grown children and 7 grandchildren. We're tied. 4 grown children, 7 grandchildren. What a great blessing that is. Robert has been a real estate investor, served on community bank boards and numerous charitable boards, and he and his wife Suzanne attend Forest Hill Church, right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome, Congressman Pittenger.
Thank you, Representative Horn. What a real treat to be out here in Union County. You all are an absolute blessing. You have meant so much to so many of us who have the privilege of serving. Mr. Lieutenant Governor, good to see you tonight. My colleague, Richard, always good to see you. He does a great job for us in the United States Congress and represents you well. What a fitting tribute tonight, John Stewart. Thank you so much for your leadership. All of y'all. Jerry, where are you? Great team. Really appreciate all of you. So fitting that we honor Ronald Reagan tonight and Abraham Lincoln. What great models that they were for leadership for our country. Richard just spoke of the crisis we went through, the Civil War. I don't know if you've read much about Lincoln, but what a stalwart of leadership he was at that moment of crisis for our country. And Ronald Reagan, if there ever was a moment that we needed Ronald Reagan and his legacy, it's today. We need a Reagan revolution today in Washington, D.C. Here we are buried down with regulations. We're buried down with a heavy tax burden. You know, Ronald Reagan, when he came to be elected in 1980, for those of us who are old enough to be there, and I was living in Washington at that time, Ronald Reagan came in with, we had 20% interest rates, inflation through the roof, high unemployment. There was just a malaise over the country. Jimmy Carter had said, you've got to get used to it. This is the way it's going to be. And what happened? In a matter of 2 years, he changed it all. It was morning in America. He lowered the regulatory environment. He lowered the tax burden. And America took off. 300, 400, 500,000 jobs a month. 1 month, 1 million jobs. All because one man believed in the greatness of the American people. You know the one word that defines our country and why people came here? Opportunity. They've come to our shores because of that one word.
That's right.
And Ronald Reagan spoke that word again. He spoke hope and opportunity. And he opened up those doors. You know, we're a great country, not because of a great government, but because of great people.
That's right.
And that's what we need today. We need a whole new revolution of people committed to that whole reality that America can return to it. And we will. There's a wonderful statement that Margaret Thatcher made. She said, you've got to win the debate before you win the vote. And if there's anything that Margaret Thatcher stood for, it was principle. About 20 years ago, I had her in Charlotte. I chaired this foreign policy discussion group. And she came in, and a friend loaned me his Rolls Royce to go pick her up. I thought that'd be kind of novel. And Felix Sabatis. And so we picked her up, and she got in the car, and she said, you know, Robert, I've never been in a Rolls Royce. She said, I'm a commoner. And I said, well, Lady Thatcher, I haven't either. Let's just enjoy the ride. So we're riding along, and I said, Lady Thatcher, we all know that you're the Iron Woman. We all know the greatness of leadership, the strength that you've got. You were there when the wall came down. But what we don't know is what made you Margaret Thatcher? What gave you the leadership qualities that you have today? She said, Robert is my father. My father taught me leadership. He taught me 3 things. He said, first, determine the right thing to do. What is the principal thing to do in any given situation? Secondly, with your whole heart, commit yourself to that objective, unwavered. And thirdly, with all your persuasion and with all your ability, seek to bring your friends and your associates to join you. That was leadership. And that's what he taught her. And that's frankly what she taught me. I hope if anything occurs between the dash in my life, between when I was born and when I was dying, when I leave this planet, is it will be a commitment to principle, a commitment to doing the right thing with all my fervor to bring this country in what little way I can back to the great principles that developed America. We have huge challenges. We have to reform our tax code. You know, the current tax code is 10 times bigger than the Bible, but there's no good news in it. We have an immigration policy that's faltering. But I go down to the federal courthouse regularly, and I speak at naturalization ceremonies to honor those people who go through our legal process to become U.S. citizens. Generally, there's about 50 of them there from about 20 countries. And at the end of it, they come up and they hug me, crying. They're so grateful to be Americans. What a privilege to be there with them, because they've honored our country. We do need to address immigration, but let it be known, there should be no amnesty. There should be no social services or welfare or pathway to citizenship. We do have a need to know who is in our country. I chair the Congressional Task Force on Terrorism, Non-Conventional Warfare. We have an urgent need to know. We don't need another Boston bombing or Times Square. We do need to know who's here. We've got to figure that part out. We live in a world of crisis. A world where I have been in the Middle East now 3 times in the last 7 months, meeting with world leaders and various heads of state. Did with Prime Minister Netanyahu twice in the last 7 months. And I asked him when I was there, I said, Mr. Prime Minister, at such time that you need America, and we were speaking of Iran, at such time you need America, do you believe America will be there for you? He talked in circles for a couple minutes. He said, I don't believe I answered your question, did I? I said, no, sir, but I do understand. What a tragedy that our best friend and ally doesn't know that we'll be there. Nor do our other allies, our Arab friends. They don't know where America stands. They don't know if we're going to be there for the right cause because we haven't stood for anything. Ronald Reagan brought the Iron Wall down without firing a shot. And he did it because America was strong. America was perceived strong. And today, we're perceived as ambivalent, as deferential to our enemies, to those who don't respect us. Look at what's taking place in Ukraine today. What a tragedy. Pray for the man who's the interim president of Ukraine. He's a Baptist minister. He's a committed believer in Christ. He needs your prayers. He is leading an important challenge right now to save that country. America needs to be strong. And so I commend you as we address these urgent needs in our country. A statement that Ronald Reagan made at a similar dinner that we had. I recall the story. He was talking about a man walking on the beach, talking to the Lord, telling him his concerns and his problems, telling him all that faces his life as we're faced with our challenges. We've got Obamacare. We've got spending out of control. We have so many issues. And as they walked along, those two footprints in the sand became one. For the Lord put that man on his shoulders. And he carried his burden. So I speak, I know, for Richard. I speak for all of us. For Dan and what he does. We covet your prayers. We covet your prayers for this country. We covet your prayers for what we're involved in, for the wisdom to do what God would have us do, for the commitment, the integrity, the total focus for principle. So thank you for who you are, the role that you're playing, and your commitment to this country. We deeply appreciate you. God bless you.